And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. The podcast where we all sit on here, talk about the week's happenings in the world of footy, and some of us really like it, and some of us don't like it at all based on what happens the previous week. I am this week's host, Henry Wind. You can find me on Twitter at Henry Wind. And let me just say, it is a trying time to be a Manchester United fan. It is a fucking disaster over there.
Wow, Henry.
All we're asking for, in this fandom is like a normal week, or as Dobes even says, even just one normal day would be greatly accepted. But I digress. We're not only here to talk about Manchester United, although I know that a lot of our listeners love hearing all about it, but we're here to talk about the Premier League at large. We're about to move into a very interesting week in the MLS as well. We're coming off, obviously, the MLS finals game where LA Galaxy won over the New York Red Bulls. But what makes this week interesting is all of the free agency stuff happens this week. So tomorrow, there is the list of players who are going to be kept by each club. The expansion draft happens this week with San Diego FC. There's a lot of things that will happen by the end of the week, including free agents, re-signing, etc. So next week's episode, we'll make sure to bring you the latest and greatest for all things St. Louis City.
What is the MLS?
At this point, we'll wait till February and then we'll see what the MLS is. But let's check in with the fellas. Let's get a temperature check. Butchie, how you doing, bro?
Great, man. Happy to be here with my buddies. Excited for the episode and still top of the league. It's a great week.
Like you're in prison right now, dude.
You really do. Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna keep it 100. I have to lay down because I have a heating pad on my back.
Oh, word?
I'm being honest right now. I got a heating pad on my back, dude. Something's messed up.
Just going through it?
I'm going through it, bro. But
Would you
we're here.
Sneeze too hard, or what's the word?
Dude, I don't know, man.
Trying to plug in the TV or something?
Yeah.
No, dude, I was in the weight room and during my plan period, and I ran up to the trainer because I started spasming and my muscles in my back were spasming, and I was freaking out, bro.
Well, I wish you a speedy recovery.
Thanks, man.
And I appreciate your honesty. I'm looking forward to that honesty continuing throughout the episode. Nick Hayflinger, coming in off a banger of a week for you. How are you feeling?
You didn't fully say your statement, so I'll say it for you. What a great weekend to be a Chelsea supporter. As you said it, a fantastic weekend. I am flying high. Literally, it's funny. Before this podcast, I usually put up FOTMob on one of these monitors that I have over here. And this is the first time that when I pull up my team, I just see green. So that is a great feeling at the moment. And also when I look at the table, I don't have to scroll at all. So that's another great feeling. So as always, you can find me on Twitter at Hafey4. It's definitely going to start getting active because when we win, it gets active. That's just how it kind of goes. But that's life.
My man has the opportunity to ride the highs and the lows of the Chelsea fandom and chooses only to ride the highs. I appreciate that about you,
No,
Nick.
I'm here at all times.
You
don't hear from me.
He's
much.
He's not putting himself out there online whenever it's not going so well. But flowers where flowers are due. You're the only 6-point man in this chat right now. So we'll give it to you. My brother in red, Connorson Dobry. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, fellas? It's your boy Dobes, your go-to host for all things insightful and occasionally sarcastic. Speaking of which, I think of myself as like the opposite of Manchester United. Consistent, organized, and not perpetually stuck in rebuild mode. But here we are, fellas. I'm here. I showed up. I'm here again. There's a little bit of hope that we weren't going to have to go through another full rebuild, but over the past couple of weeks, it seems like that's where we're headed, folks. But I'm still here. It's great to be here.
Great to have you.
How's Bielefeld doing?
Bielefield's good. Still in a promotion spot. Honestly, they're kind of keeping me through footy a little bit right now. So shout out Bielefeld, man. Keep me sane.
Big shout.
Shout out the boys, and what will be really exciting is, sure enough, whenever Bielefeld gets spotted by Luch Vandersteel, we'll have a Bielefeld player in our MLS team. That'll really be...
I have 3 kits. I got 3 kits.
Yeah, you'll have the alternative. Yeah, it'll be great. Lucas Winkleman, last but not least, how are you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? I'm good. Definitely mixed emotions about this last week of games and a lot of thoughts on that. But not dropping all three in either game was important in this title race for us. So overall, not too disappointed. But it's good to be here. Yeah. Also, Hen, I like that shirt.
Thanks, man.
It's
a little St. Louis City shirt. Paige bought this for me just on a whim one day. It was really kind of her.
Love that.
Shout out your missus, like you just gotta love the wife, love the girlfriend, love the fiance, just appreciate
I sent Henry a picture. Madison ordered from the United store. We have Old Trafford, what's it called? Old Trafford based wrapping paper for all our Christmas presents this year.
It's all on sale, I bet.
Yeah, it's all on sale. Yeah. I mean, honestly, we are raising funds for our club. We're canceling Christmas parties as Manchester United, but we'll get into that.
They can't sell hotels.
We have a lot to go through, but I think we're going to kick off tonight talking about Tottenham in the dumpster fire that is Tottenham Hotspur. And as you may notice, we don't have our resident Tottenham fan on the pod tonight, but alas, we have come prepared with a statement that I'm going to share with the crew here.
You have to?
Yeah, it's a dejected fan. I also just want to give a shout out to those of you that have sent messages in to the various members of the Mecca of Banter podcast. There's been a few of you out there that are Tottenham fans that all that really just rally around Andy Hoover. Because
he makes me feel better every single week. Without fail, I feel better every single week.
Every single week. So without further ado, fellas, we have a very special statement from Andy Hoover.
First, I'm not even in front. This is my third take of this video because I can't do it. I can't do it in at least under 7 minutes. So I'm going to just fly through this really quick. It's tough to win a football match when the other team has 12 players on the pitch. Should have 10. Fight it, Nikki. You know it's true. Don't back on that Kulusevski bullshit. You're supposed to do with your arms in a challenge, brother. You're a center back. You understand how this works. Your arms go up. They're not supposed to go by your side. That's how this works. You're an athlete. That's BS. Don't even come at me with that. No off that. Studs off all 12 of them to the shin. Was a red card last.
That was a straight red.
This year, in this fixture. Apparently, the rules are completely different from what happened in the 4-2 situation or 4-1. I don't even remember what it was. I blacked out for the entire thing. I will say, do I think the game ends differently with a red card there? Yes. Am I blaming that red card on the loss? Absolutely not. This is all Spurs' fault. There's no way around it. The team that Ange put out scored 2 goals in 20 minutes. Some slips helped for sure. But at the end of the day, they had the more dangerous chances. You can argue with your nan on that, Nick. More dangerous team. The XG ended at like 2.9 to 0.8 if you remove the 2 penalties. So genuinely, I think if you don't have 2 individual cases of absolute head loss, we're coming away with 3 points. But then it was those happened, right? The game went that way. So you have to turn it around. You have to score goals. Go back and score the goals. They're not scoring the goals either. I'm afraid Sonny's washed. I'm extremely nervous.
Whoa.
Sonny,
my soul,
has 3, maybe 4 goals in that game. Missed an absolute sitter that ultimately would have just kept the game tied at the end, 4-4, which in my world would have been great. So that sucked. Bournemouth sucked. Bournemouth are great. I'm just going to throw that out there. Yes, it's unacceptable to lose 1-0 to Bournemouth. Anywhere, any chance, anytime you play. You can't be having that. But they were great. Tyler Adams was great. They should have like 5 goals. Spurs didn't even look like they were threatening for 1. So that sucked a lot. That was worse than the Chelsea loss, in my opinion. There's, you lose Romero in the 17th minute. You lose Brendan Johnson in the 50th. Like, we're 2 injuries down, forced changes, 2 completely idiotic penalties given up. That shouldn't really reflect on the manager. Bournemouth can, but about the manager. I'm sure the conversation will come up. I'm Ange in. I'm going to stay Ange in. I'm backing whoever's at the club at this point. We can all come back to the common denominator that I like to bring up every week, which is Daniel Levy. And yeah, I talked to Scotty Persha this week, Spurs fan, good buddy, texted me. If you have 14 relationships in 23 years and none of those 14 relationships work out, who do you think the real problem is? You or the other great candidates, amazing suitors for a relationship, people that should be able to take most clubs and do something pretty well with them? It's the same. It's the same, man. Every week, every year, every cycle. I've seen this so many times. The song and dance does not change. I'm watching the highlights now. Great. This is awesome. But
Coming to you live.
What do you want me to say about anyone? Romero came out today and said, maybe if we look at these Man Cities and the Liverpools and the Chelseas of the world, we see squad investment, we see rotation, we see when it's not working out, you bring more stuff in, you bring new players in. That's not happened, and he's mentioning it, and he's saying it to the media, which is significant. All of these types of things that have leaked from dressing rooms years past, United specifically, are like, oh, the manager's lost the dressing room, or oh, the team's not behind his tactics anymore. He's outwardly said, we back Ange, the team supports Ange, everyone's behind him and his staff. Maybe it's higher up. That's saying something. Harry Kane, club legend, one of the best players, if not the best to ever play for Spurs. Never said anything like that. That's legendary stuff. That's everyone, I think, now in the world of football, especially in England. Jamie Carragher talked about it last week. They're kind of starting to recognize nothing's going to change, man. We're going to be the same club every single year. If something doesn't change with the ownership, that's just it. There's just no way it can be anything else. Yeah, sorry I'm not there this week. My niece was born. Shout out my sister. So
Shouts.
I'm going to go celebrate that and be excited with my family. But I will be back next week. We will have played 2 matches, and I may not have much of a different tune. But Ange in, back the man. Just back the man. That's it. That's actually all I'm asking. Get more players for the guy. Please, God, somebody.
A lot going on,
God bless
fellas.
that
Unbelievable.
man, bro. I
A
love him.
lot going on
Wow.
from Mr. Hoover. So
Talked a lot.
what are the reactions? I mean, someone other than Nick, because obviously Nick has some things to say about the Chelsea game, which we'll get there. But like, what are some of the reactions to not only the Chelsea performance but also Bournemouth? I mean, I watched the second half of Tottenham Bournemouth, and genuinely Tottenham were lucky to come away with a 1-0 loss. I mean, they gave up.
But Bournemouth could have had 4 in the second half. 4 or 5 in the second half.
It was insane.
They Spurs went down 1-0, and then Bournemouth just sat in on the second half and let Spurs come at them and just like, we're just going to hit you on the counter every single time. And Spurs gave them the ball in dangerous areas 9 times out of 10. It felt like Spurs is the same. I think when Spurs is a little bit like United right now. When we're good, we're really good, but when we're bad, it's really bad. Fucking bad. Yeah. And there's almost no in between, for real.
That's not a player you want on your fantasy team. High ceiling, low floor.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the first 10 minutes against Chelsea where they were fucking everywhere. Like they were phenomenal in the first 10 minutes, and that's what they can be. And then the consistency is just not there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's weird to see them play like that because pre-Ange they were that sit back and then counterattack when you make a shitty mistake, and now that they're playing a different style and having it done to them, it's hilarious for one. Being an Arsenal fan to see that sort of flip switch, but also that combined with, their attack just not working the way it should right now. And obviously there's a lot of different factors to that. But I feel like Spurs right now are in that situation where they're not really contending for anything in this form. And as much as I want to pay attention to them and talk shit on them, they've slowly become more and more irrelevant to even talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, it feels like they've really died off, and they're still higher than United in the Premier League table. Like, I think that's insane. So it's like when everyone's talking about crashing and burning, and there's obviously this big social media thing going on right now that Hoover alluded to of Ange in, Ange out, but I mean, they're still, they're only in 11th. I wish I could say that. But, Nikki, what were your thoughts on the game? I mean, obviously, you come from the Chelsea fan perspective, but as Tottenham as a whole, you really look it up as once the doors were opened for Chelsea coming out of halftime, once the doors were opened, Tottenham could literally never close them back up. And it was just one mistake after another after another.
To be honest, that's kind of how the last stretch of games have been for us offensively. Once we get one, the kind of floodgates open afterwards. I think Sancho's goal for us in the first half was so massive. If we go into halftime 2-0, I think it could be a whole different second half. So his goal was so big for us. I also think, I know you guys love hearing this, United boys, but I thought he was phenomenal for us. He was also great for us against Southampton. Not only did he score, but he was very, very good on the ball, and he both of the passes into the box that led to penalties were from him. So I thought he played very well.
Been there, seen that.
Yeah, I love seeing it right now. It's looking very good on the field for us, so I'm not going to complain at all. But I obviously know your history and what you guys went through. We are all soccer players, right? We've all played soccer. Before you play in a game, you get probably an hour to 30 minutes on the pitch, before test out, get kind of the feel of what it feels like, get your shoes situated, your cleats in order. I think there's absolutely no excuse for Mark Cucurella to have both those slips, and I do think those cost both of our goals. I'm not saying that they weren't playing well and weren't pressing very well in the first 10 minutes, but both of his slips led to the chances that led to goals. The first one, I don't know if someone said it in the Mecca or if it was in our podcast group message, but Sanchez commits to that cross so early on that first goal. Like, he is
weird.
So out. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to save it because it still would have been an insane save, but he was way out of position. I think he was just shocked by the slip and he was trying to get back into position. But regardless, like, those are kind of just the cons. I mean, Butchie said it before, Cole Palmer, I think the Spurs fans annoyed him and it kind of switched a gear because he was kind of, I wouldn't say he was not as impactful in the first half, but he wasn't getting on the ball as much as I thought. And in the second half, he definitely took over, and I think he's so good. I also think Enzo, ever since he became single, is just a new man and wants to freaking ball out for all the honeys because his goal was so freaking good. And he's just playing phenomenal footy right now. I also there was a moment when I think it was when we were tied, and I was just sitting there and I was like, our bench is still so good. Like, we bring anyone on in this situation, and I'm like, they're going to have probably a positive impact in this game because it's someone new, they're healthy, and it's someone with a lot of talent. So, that was something, at one point I was thinking about and I was super excited about. But overall, big 3 points against a very good Spurs side. I think if we're getting into the fine details of what he was talking about, and Ange in and Ange out, I love Daniel Levy. I hope he stays at Spurs forever because their trophy cabinet will stay emptyless. But I do think Ange isn't all that's cracked up to be. I think he is, of the managers that they've had in the last couple of years, I don't think he's near the top of them. I think they've had better in the past. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does get let go. So we shall see on that end for them. But I do think great performance for us. We're in second place. I'm going to say it because you guys might bring it up. I think we're in a title race. I don't think it's a jinx. I think we're playing good football right now. And there's a lot of talent behind our squad. I know, which is interesting, but I love that mentality from a coach. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's just mind games.
I'm a fan, so that's completely fine. He can say whatever
What's
he wants.
What's crazy to me, Nick, is that a lot of the players that are playing consistently this season, with the exception of Lavia, were all here last year. And how many times did we talk about, Chelsea creating chances and chances and chances and chances, and it's just a little off. It's just a degree here, a degree there, and they're just not finishing their chances. And suddenly, they've just figured it out. And I don't know if it's just settling into the team, settling into each other, but you scored 9 goals in 2 games. That is no small feat. I don't know if we've scored 9 goals in the last 2 months. So it's just something to, it just goes to say, you can struggle, you can not find your form. And all it takes is just one minor adjustment or one this or one that, and suddenly you're challenging for a title. It's crazy.
Yep. I also think 9 goals is impressive, but I think also what's impressive is the first 5 were 5 different goal scorers and the next 4 were 3 different goal scorers. So we're spreading the wealth. It's not just one person I think a lot of it's running through Cole, and you guys probably agree with me on that, but a lot of people are stepping up and finishing their chances, and there's no complaints out of me with what we're
For
playing.
sure.
I enjoy watching us play right now, and I love that feeling.
I think the thing with Chelsea this year, and I've said it a million times, I think you got to go into playing them being if we don't score 4 goals, we're not going to win the game. Because like they can score and just as much as they can give up 3, but you
I was
have to
about to
score.
say we could give that up is the crazy part.
That's what I mean. But like I think you have to go in that expecting to score a ton of goals just with how crazy they are going forward. I think, and I said it in the group message, in terms of like when you look at the title race, like I think Chelsea has been probably the most consistent when you just look at comparatively to Arsenal and City in terms of challenging. But the one thing I will say with that is like, obviously it's different scenarios, but like Ole was top at this point in the year. You know what I mean? Like Ten Hag finished second. I think the biggest thing comes with this second half of the year, and we may see a resurgence from Arsenal, we may see Liverpool be consistent, but like the more that I watch these teams play, I truthfully think that it's going to be a lot closer come May than we expect it to be. I truthfully don't think Liverpool is going to stay as consistent as they are. Chelsea may hang right around there. I really don't know what to make of it, to be honest with you. Like Chelsea's flying at the moment, and Arsenal not so much, and City is City. But like so, right now you kind of have to say that Chelsea's in a title race, even though I don't really like. It's tough to say right now because there's so much inconsistency and so much parity between the top 4.
It's wild. No,
I do want to say one more thing because Hoove touched on it. The tackle that Moises Caicedo made on Sarr. If we freeze frame and we're in that, I mean,
which is what they do though.
Yeah,
they always do.
I agree, but I do just want to bring up the point that Hoover is in agreement with me, and I immediately sent him the petition that I signed earlier that week of Anthony Taylor losing his job. So like, can't blame.
I don't even think that's Anthony Taylor.
Finally, we get a call.
It's the VAR that.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't give a shit, Anthony Taylor.
Like I got an agenda against Anthony Taylor. No,
Fuck Anthony Taylor.
But the thing is like, yeah, we've seen that called so many times, and to just clear it that fast, it's insane. I don't know, man. That game was so entertaining. It was so fun to watch. Spurs need something. They need stability. I agree with you, Nick, that when you put Ange up there against like the previous 5, so you look at Conte, you look at Mourinho, you look at, I mean, Nuno doesn't really count, but see what Nuno's doing with Nottingham Forest right now. Like he's a good manager, but Ange is flawed just like everyone. But it's kind of the same thing with Manchester United. If you don't get
I think his team's very talented. Like I think Ange has a very talented side.
I will say that's a different game with Romero for the full game. Like 100%. I think Romero's class.
I think he's class too, and I think he's also a leader. And I think that's what they're missing more than anything. I feel like Spurs go into this absolute, like what Hoover said, like this absolute head loss where you look at those 2 fouls that led to penalties, horrible tackles, and both of them unneeded, like especially the second one completely unnecessary. The first one, you don't need to slide there, just contain them and show them to the line. Like I don't know, it's just there's so many guys that just get rattled. I try to think through sometimes of like, if I were given the keys to the castle, like what would I do to make that side better? And it's like they need to go out and sign a leader, like a pitch general, someone who can really rally the team. I just don't know who that is. I do not know that's attainable. Like I don't know who you bring in and make that happen. Like I don't know. I feel like there would be like some rogue shout for like Joshua Kimmich, but like I don't think he would go from Bayern to Tottenham. I don't know, but I say we move on from one dumpster fire to another, and we talk Manchester United a little bit.
I'm just trying to figure that out with him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Chippy.
I just sent it to him.
Yeah.
So, Dobes.
Sir.
Manchester United is a topic of discussion for now. What are your current thoughts on the state of Manchester United Football Club at this current moment?
I honestly think, like looking at the last 2 games, I think one thing that's really apparent is that we do have a structure. We have a way of playing now. And I do think we see a ton of spells of good stuff, I guess is the way to put it. Like, it's not over a full 90 minutes, but I think when you look at the Arsenal game, I think in that first half, we didn't create like virtually anything within the Arsenal game in terms of clear-cut chances. But I do think in terms of looking at that first half, in terms of how we possess the ball, I think the difference that you've seen historically going to the Emirates under Ten Hag is we are a sit in our own half, wait till Arsenal give up the ball, try to counterattack, try to give the ball to try to give the ball to Rashford or Garnacho on the break. And I think what we saw in the first half is we spent a lot of time with our back three at the half line, building in the Arsenal half. And I think the problems that we're seeing is we don't necessarily have a ton of chance creation going forward. And I do think some of that comes from Bruno having to play deeper than he typically does and sitting there playing next to Ugarte. And so we didn't create as much going forward. I think there's a clear structure and identity in terms of how we want to play. I think what we're missing, and we've said it for years, I mean, it's just true. What we've said we're missing for years.
I think defensively, yeah, but offensively, I feel like you guys are still like, I don't see any.
Of course, but when you build something, you don't start from the front. You start from the base.
I agree, but
and we never had a base. Like we never had a base.
That's also the easiest to do is defensive structure.
I mean, you say that, but then we're also the team right now that's leading the league in shutouts. So like we've been defensively sound. Now we're just better in possession.
Wait,
like, you guys have given up 18 goals. We've given up 19. Like that's it's not crazy. Like we're talking like massive differences here. I think looking at Sunday, to be honest, this was pretty close to my favorable 11 in terms of looking at. I think the only change I would have made is Mazraoui on the left instead of Delo. And I think you saw what we've seen, over the same thing in the Arsenal game. We saw a ton of great possession, but a lot of it was meaningless. A lot of good build-up play. We kept a ton of possession. We scored a few goals, but at the same time, it's the same thing. We cannot fucking defend set pieces to save our life.
Yep.
It's like you have Lisandro Martinez, who's like fucking what, 5'8", literally guarding a 6'9", literally guarding a 6'5" giant in the box. It's like, what the fuck did you expect to happen?
And then your other center backs got his arms out like a goddamn airplane.
Brother, it's insane. Like I don't understand how you're Manchester United and you fucking can't defend a set piece to save your life. See, I think there is a structure, and this is one of those things where I think the approach that I'm taking to where I think I did have my favorites in terms of Manchester United players under Ten Hag that I was going to back no matter what. And I think kind of the approach. Well, the Ten Hag's not here anymore. But what I would say is I think that there's about 4 or 5 players that are keepers. I think it's Kobe Mainoo. I think it's Bruno Fernandes. I would keep Ugarte. I think Mazraoui. And maybe one or two more, but I think that's the list of safe.
Hoyland?
It's tough because I think Lisandro Martinez is such could be such an exciting player for you guys. I just think that one thing you guys missed the mark on is physical presence and physicality against some of these other clubs. It's very imbalanced. You have a lot of.
This is going to be so hard because he has not watched United more than twice in the last year and a half.
Untrue.
Last year and a half.
So untrue. But
before you keep going,
also, listeners, I want to welcome JP Murray to the podcast.
We have to introduce this man before he just gets to talk his ear off.
JP coming in live from LA, but live and late from
LA. We call him Arsenal fans' least favorite Arsenal fan.
He's says he's the creator of the Mecca of Banter group chat when in reality he's not. But yeah, everyone, the guy we always chat about, that's a outrageous Arsenal fan, JP Murray.
Welcome to the pod.
Thanks, guys. Pseudo creator of the chat. I'll take my credit where it can be given. But listen, I just think you guys. I think United squad, while it has potential and under new management, he's definitely going to tear it apart. You guys are young, and you guys have a 5'6" center back. You guys have to find trade-offs, and right now it needs an overhaul. You know that. Manager knows that. Ownership
would you
knows
say
that.
Would you say that playing Martinez next to
William
Saliba, who's 6 foot something, and then Lenny Euro, who's 6'4", maybe balances that out a little bit, or is that not true?
Is Lisandro Martinez left-footed?
He's like, who is DeLitt? Who is Lenny Euro? I've never heard of his player before.
Is Martinez left-footed?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Okay, I think him being left-footed is. Does he play in the left? He plays left center back, right?
JP, brother, you can't hop on here if you're not going to have your connection figured out.
Yeah, that's just wild.
That's the word. But I'll hop in.
Can you hear me now?
I think that.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, bro. Jesus, it's
Man
Yes.
wants to join.
Lissandro Martinez is a left-footed center back, to answer your question.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah, you're good.
That's great.
Okay. There might be a delay, but no, I think Lissandro Martinez is very skilled, and he's an agile center back, and he could work in your system, but you guys are not competing physically whatsoever. And Harry Maguire, are you going to keep him? What do you think about Harry in the back, Dobes?
Go on. What are we talking about Harry Maguire for?
Because
he's not going to be
he looks
around.
decent. He's the most experienced at the club right now.
Phil Jones or no?
This man hopped in as we're talking about Nottingham Forest and wants to talk about Harry Maguire.
It's insane.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, we were talking about players that you would keep or not.
Yeah, we were.
Sweet fuck.
Yeah, Chip might be up to get kicked.
Yeah, JP, the connection brother is crazy out here, man.
Okay. Give me a second.
You're cutting in and out, Chip. But regardless, United needs. I agree with him. You do need an overhaul, and you said 4, and then you listed like 6, 7.
I said 4 that I would keep.
What do you think about, like, Amad Diallo wasn't on that list? Do you feel like
Amad Diallo, Højlund, Garnacho,
Bruno? Here's the
Amad
thing.
is third in the Prem in assists right now. Amad is a must stay, but I also think that we're still misutilizing Amad. Like I still think that ultimately he's way too gifted of a footballer to be playing right wing back. He's way too gifted of a footballer to be finding the ball as deep as he does sometimes. Like I think the biggest thing is it's like Ralph Rangnick said it years ago, and the fact that like this group needs open heart surgery, and it's like I don't know if you guys saw, but Sunday morning we lost our sporting director.
I was
like
gonna
they
say.
fired him. They fired him. And
the guy that they brought in, right?
yeah,
Yes.
and so much of that, the reason being is because one, the ideas he brought in for managers with Gareth Southgate and Eddie Howe, and they also weren't happy with his summer transfer window. Which, to be honest with you, I think Xerxes is the only real question mark in terms of players we brought in. I think Mazraoui fantastic. Delit's been really good. I think Ugarte is going to end up being one of the best central midfielders in the Prem under Emery once we have a full system. He's in the top 1% of tackles in the entire world. Like he's fantastic, dude. Like
I actually rate him. I rate him.
You watched Caicedo last year look like he couldn't kick a football, and now he's the best center midfielder in the league right now.
I think he's a must keep. He's a must keep for you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. And but I do think that there's a hefty amount of players that, as Dobes was saying earlier, like last year we were looking at as like, hey, they definitely weren't part of the problem, and this year, like, I don't know how it's going to work. Like you even look at, Nick Dobes did not say Højlund or Garnacho. Like, I think you might have asked questions about that, but like those guys weren't included on that list. Like there are guys that I have. They're so young that they can be integrated into the system, but like I don't think there's been a player that's looked more lost under Ruben Amorim than Alejandro Garnacho.
Dude, it's such a shame because he doesn't know what to do.
He doesn't know where to go. Like he doesn't know if he should stay wide. He doesn't know if he should tuck in. Like every game that he's played under him, he just looks like
decision making.
Yeah, I mean it's brutal, and so I think that there will be an overhaul that will happen. I don't know how much of it will happen in January. I don't know how much of it will happen in the summer. But the problem is to Dobes' point, like you fire a sporting director, which is cool. Like you do that if it's not going the way that you want it to go, but it's like yet another rebuild, yet another window that we go into in January without having the person in place. And maybe Omar Barada, who's been operating as the club CEO, is going to be doing that. But like we don't actually know. So it's like, is January going to be written off? I'm not sure.
It'll be Vivil. I don't know if he's the technical director that they like. He was sort of on an interim basis, and he'll take that role.
Yeah. Well, so who fucking knows? Maybe we do have a plan. But what's clear at the current moment is that United can't quite figure it out. Losing in the manner that we lost. Both games is just disappointing to watch. I just feel like
the loss to Stoke hurts so much worse, though.
I know,
it hurts so much worse, dude.
But the thing is that Mark Goldbridge said something of like, there's always like new systems that are hard for players to grasp, and there's going to be, challenges with that. But some of the mistakes that these players are making, they can't make a 5-yard pass. Like that's
We
you
saw
can't
we
coach
saw
them.
the best of Bruno Fernandes in that side volley and finish. And then we saw the worst of Bruno Fernandes when he tried to do a tricky flick in his own defensive third and gave the ball away from the goal.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that's
just
the IQ thing and decision making that has to get cleaned up.
I wanted to make this point whenever you guys were on the Chelsea topic, because I think, interestingly enough, I think United and Chelsea are both in, last year they were more comparable, but obviously Chelsea making strides here over the last, 4 or 5 months or so. Maresca did a good thing in the summer window when everyone was memeing Chelsea for that big roster and group of players that even Jeff Silver, I think, sent into the Mecca chat recently. And Russo and I got into some, level of conversation about economically what Chelsea's finances look like and whether they're positive or negative. Regardless of the way that you look at it, there's one thing that I think is a cause for these 9 goals that you guys were referencing, and Maresca drawing the line and saying these players are in, these players are out, and being super stern about that, and then allowing for this youth team. Last year, the reason we saw the Chelsea hiccups we saw, there was very little chemistry, there was ego at play. Players were not willing to be unselfish because they were trying to earn their way into the team. Maresca has certainly put his foot down from a leadership standpoint. You can totally see these players coming together. I think there was some sort of photographer grabbed a shot of Madueke smiling when Cole Palmer took his goal the other day, and I thought that was indicative
And
of.
Cuckoo. Yeah.
Was it okay? I
Player
didn't
learns how to smile when his team scores.
type of yes
I
and
think
no.
you're right, JP.
Yes and no, but I'd say a lot of Chelsea's success, and specifically with the regard to the youth players, like a lot of it has been psychological, chemistry based, and obviously they're all individually skilled, but they're actually playing like a team, and that's where you get numerous goal scorers, you get team play, you get 3 points no matter what. You're fighting to the end of games, and I think that that's one massive thing that Chelsea have working for them. Who knows what happens with their roster shakeup, but one thing that Ten Hag could never get down at United was leadership in the locker room. And that is the reason why I stayed consistent in my ridicule of him, and why I will always opt for Arteta's success and root for him is because he at least has us playing like a fucking team. And there's a togetherness and a spirit about the club at United that's been missing for far too long since Ronaldo left. And
Let me tell you right now that let me tell you right now that nobody remembers the teams that just played well. Nobody remembers the teams that just played well. Chelsea can score 15 to 16 goals this year a game. If they don't win silverware, none of it matters.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think that that's probably more of what the United players should be hearing, and they got to be like goldfish week in, week out right now because they don't got much going on in terms of their week over week play, and they got to put up results somehow, and it's going to be difficult for them with the new manager.
But how do you know any of this if you've never watched us?
You're just claiming shit.
Brother, you don't even wake up and watch your own team.
You guys use these baseless accusations, yet I am here week in, week out watching Premier League all morning.
I agree with JP though.
I watch it all morning.
He was right with the fact that Maresca came in and he drew a line, and I think that was very, very beneficial for our team. But JP, I will say I think Amarin is trying to do that at United, but United doesn't have nearly the talent that Maresca had coming in.
It's a $1.2 billion squad in Chelsea.
I know, that's
versus,
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and I also
agreed.
think the price tags went away. Like I think that's another thing that Maresca got lucky with. That like we brought in so many players with high price tags that like no one cared that Mudryk was 100 million anymore. No one cared in our club. Like I feel like that was also a benefit, but I also think that's Maresca coming in with the leadership that he did and drawing those lines and saying like you're gonna have to impress me. Like it's a competition, and I think
also
that's
think
what
that
you're
Todd
seeing
Bowley
JP
let him
as
do
well.
it.
What?
I think Todd Bowley let him do it in the sense of like
I agree. Thank you,
idea.
Todd Bowley.
Yeah, but
Thank
like
you.
you have no idea like behind the scenes what's going, and like what we've seen from the Glazers for the last, forever is that it's just a shit show underneath them, and they make terrible decisions. They don't support the club, and so it was clear under Ten Hag who was in and who was out. But like, was Ten Hag given the green light to say those things publicly? I don't know. Sounds
Yeah,
like
I also
Maresca was
I,
given the green
I
light
also
to do
don't
it
think
because
that
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think that the Glazers backed Ten Hag like he should have been backed in the transfer
I
window.
don't think the Glazers
aren't
back anyone.
involved.
They
The
don't
Glazers
know
don't
anything.
do anything.
But that's the thing. They care about the image of Manchester United, and so like
They haven't been to a game at the club in like a decade. Like
Yeah,
at Old Trafford in a decade.
I
So
definitely watched more United over the last season than the Glazers have.
yeah,
Can I
there
say
you
that?
go.
Oh, dude,
Come on.
1000%.
Come on.
Congrats, JP.
But-
Hanging in the
but-
rafters.
So it's like you think about Maresca being able to come in and do that, and right away that was definitely kicking some of those guys into shape. You think about guys like Ben Chilwell, who yes, injuries here and there, but like
I used to fucking love
that's
Ben
an England
Chilwell.
I thought he was
international
good, too.
player. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a guy, Trevor Chalobah, like guy who's been at the club for a long time, and it's just right then and there he was able to do that, and then there was
That one
nothing.
hurts.
There's nothing from Chelsea's hierarchy being like, hey, you need to work them back into the team. It was
I
just
do
like, that's
think
just
the
what it was.
difference, though, when you look at the two, is the fact that Maresca had a summer. Like, Amorim has to instill belief in
Yes.
the current players he has now because he can't. And then what you're saying about the ruthlessness is like, there's a reason Christian Eriksen hasn't even been in the squad.
Yeah,
Like, Christian Eriksen was one of our
After
leading
that
goal
first
scorers
game,
to
yeah.
start the beginning of the season, balling, and he hasn't even made the squad. But the issue is that we don't have too many of those players that we can just like, we can't afford to like
be
not
stern.
have Harry Maguire in the squad.
yeah,
We can't afford to not have Malacia in the squad. We can't we don't have a healthy left back besides Malacia. So there's certain players that Amorim has to toe the fine line between motivating and trying to get the best he can out of him while he has them, because he understands he's going to be judged for results. But I think he also is why we're seeing so much rotation is he needs to see what he has.
Yeah.
He needs to see what he has in a Joshua Zirkzee. He needs to see what he has in a Kobe Mainoo. He needs to see what he has in these players. And I think towards the latter half of the season, when there's not as many fixtures, I think you'll see a United 11 consistently. And I think right now our results are going to continue to be inconsistent because we don't have past 14 players that can really play at a Premier League level and do it well. Like the moment that you got to start bringing Johnny Evans on the field, the moment you got to play Leach at a left wing back, you know what I mean? The moment that you have to like play Bruno as a
Mason
6.
Mount.
Like I do believe
poor
Mason Mount's going to come good under Emery.
God awful. I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
he won a trophy
think-
last year. He won a trophy last year.
Whatever. I'm here to converse, my brother. Today,
We're here to win trophies.
congrats. I think that you guys and Amorim, I think he's going to have a runway where results can. I say this because I actually like Amorim and I want him to do well, because I didn't like Ten Hag. I thought he was cancerous to the Premier League. He sucked. And I think that Amorim will be successful for you guys. But I think
man, cancerous.
yeah, but you are correct. You are correct in that in the springtime. Quit laughing.
That was
I think-
good.
I think in the spring you guys will see a consistent 11 out there and likely put together a string of consistent results, and it will be a test to see whether or not Amorim is going to keep them in the system or how much of it he truly overhauls in the summer. He has no choice but to do so, but I think from now until March, right? February or March, you're right, there's going to be a lot of rotation, and it's going to be a tough time for y'all. Like you're going to be upset with results even though Amorim did come in and get a couple wins. Like if he's going to have a long-term project and long-term success there, he's going to have to change up some piping.
I do think that's one of those, like my original statement here was that like I named my dog Kobe Mainoo, like Kobe, right? Like, so I have my favorites. And the reason I say that is I think what I've done with like those like Rashford and Hen, like you kind of just, you love these players that have been there for so long. And under Ten Hag, you continuously would back some of those players and just hope they come good. I think my mindset has switched with Amorim to whatever he wants, just give it to him.
Yep.
Whatever he wants to get rid of, no matter who it is. And I think until that happens, I think we're going to be in the stagnant cycle of you're going to see a Harry Maguire, you're going to see these players that don't belong until, which I hope he is, I hope he's ruthless. And you saw it. You saw it with Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes was subbed off in a game we were losing with 20 minutes left to go because he gave the ball away for a goal.
Yep.
We would have never seen that under Ten Hag or any other manager. Like, that's ruthlessness.
Mhm.
Like, the game changed, but he did that to prove a point that nobody's safe.
The
And I
game
hope
changed.
that
Like
continues.
the game changed a little bit.
Brother, you're talking about one of, if not arguably, the best big chance creator in the entire Premier League on his day. But you can take him off the
I
game.
understand
It's
that,
just
but
you take off the one moment.
Watching that match, when he came off, it didn't deviate the game all that much. United was very, very loosely in the attacking third through the last 30 minutes of the game, but it was a whole fucking nothing burger. There was nothing happening for United in terms of.
What happens when you take Bruno Fernandes off the field?
No, I'm talking about when he was still on the field. When did he come off? Like the 70th minute?
He hit a 60-yard side volley on a dime and then scored a banger. What are we talking about here?
I'm not taking it away from. I'm not saying Bruno should have come off. I don't think Bruno should have come off. Like, you keep Bruno in the game. Sure, Amram's going to punish him in front of the squad and try to insert himself in the situation. That is understandable as well. But, I mean, you guys just... Nice. Generally speaking, you guys looked lost. Regardless of Bruno's inclusion in those last 25, 30 minutes, like, it was bad football. It was.
You're not saying anything that this group doesn't know, my friend.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not good. And the thing is, to your point, JP, like, Manchester United does need to figure it out. And I think with bringing Amorim in the time that he did, he will be given that runway to figure things out. So just to read what was it, last episode, 2 episodes ago, we talked about how December can make or break your season. And I just want to read for you all the next several opponents that Manchester United play between now.
We're fucked.
Yeah, between now and January 12th, we play.
Just wait.
We play City, followed by Tottenham, then Bournemouth, Wolves, then Newcastle, Liverpool, Arsenal. That is the next run of our.
Although I think Spurs is the Carabao or some shit.
It is in Arsenal's the FA Cup, but at the same time, it's like we still got to put out performances. And
listen, I fully 3-1 United against City.
Okay, great. Thanks for the support, brother. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Big shouts.
Really a United fan? You didn't know?
No, I like Amron. I think City. I just love seeing City struggle. It's a new thing for all of us. So.
Yeah, no, it's great. So while we have you on, JP, we are now going to transition to Arsenal, and I would love to get your thoughts and Wings yours as well. You all continue to drop points this season again and again and again and again and again and again. You keep dropping points, and you keep getting further and further away from a title race. Now, sitting comfortably in third place after a 1-1 draw against Full America. And I'm curious, JP, what your thoughts
Anybody
on
have any guesses how they scored? Everybody guesses.
Yeah, just where does Arteta keep
Offsides,
getting it wrong?
They were offsides.
And are there any open play coaches in the pipeline that Arsenal can hire between now and the end of the season to hopefully make them like a more well-rounded team?
He's so mad we're just
give him
scoring
6
goals.
more years.
JP didn't watch the game. Let's go to Winks.
He's so mad we're scoring
That's
goals.
also untrue.
We talked about it in the group text.
I bring the comforter down on the couch for the 6 a.m. games.
It's a goated move. But the 1-1 result, what happened? Why are you not walking away with all 3 points against Full America?
Wanks, you want to shoot?
Yeah, I'll go. We've seen it, and this season it hasn't really happened that often, but we saw it sparingly last year where we play very well defensively, and then we just have like one mistake that's big enough that the other team capitalizes on. Like, statistically, it was a very similar game to the United one. Our XG was like over 2.2 or something like that. But I think a big difference for me was Thomas Partey playing right back and Anthony Robinson playing left back for Fulham. He played very well with having either Timber, Ben White, or Calafiori on and the right back position. We build up on the right side so differently when Saka and Odegaard are both on the field as well. Like having our right back, Odegaard and Saka combined on the right wing is such a big deal. Having those overlapping runs from our right back.
It's a big reason why we miss Ben White so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
100%.
and so for me, that combination of having Thomas Partey and his virtual inability to consistently make those overlapping runs, allowing us to play down the right side of the field much more often and effectively at that. That combined with, Anthony Robinson being one of the best wing backs in the game right now, was a reason why offensively we weren't as clinical. But I think, and I hate talking about this, but I feel like it's time. Gabriel Martinelli is getting real close to the chopping block for me. He's
got to get on sides, brother.
It has nothing to do with that.
It'll be the first time that I will have voiced and said out loud that Martinelli is starting to worry me. It's sad, but I think
so
that
sad.
I think
you guys got Raheem Sterling. You're good.
Where to
Living the dream, baby.
Well, we needed something to be fair. I saw a tweet
you
that
got
I really
something.
That
something is one way to put it.
No. I mean, Sterling, sure, as an absolute flex option, but we're talking about Tresard here more than we are Raheem Sterling. I'd say when Gabby is on, I crave Tresard. I want Tresard in the positions that Gabby gets himself into, and then when Tresard's playing, I'm like, where's Gabby? It's a very difficult duality to find ourselves in because
That's
both
fair.
offer very unique profiles to the position, and both are effective at those unique profiles, but we're needing something like Saka completely services in between those two players. 100%. Like we need to balance the left side of the attack and be able to work the left side similarly to the way that Odegaard and Saka and White have been able to develop on the right side for the last multiple seasons, because we're too predictable. And it leaves our attacking options thin and our open play options thin. All of our open play opportunities next year coming from the right side primarily. And we have Kai Havertz at striker, who is debatable. Like, I'll say it.
Yeah, I was
like,
going to say, what do you think about him?
That is one way to put it. That is such a kind way to put debatable.
I love it.
I think it's a very basic way to put it. It's debatable. I don't want to talk about it right now. Doesn't matter. And I agree with Lucas. Like, Gabby is struggling to produce this year. He's produced more in years past, and he's been more threatening in years past. He isn't getting near or around the goal when he's taking shots on near and around the 18.
Prime example in the United game, he gets played that insane ball down the left side, and he has a 1v1 with Harry Maguire and shoots it right in his stomach.
Yeah, 100%.
Like last year before that doesn't happen. He takes him down the line and plays it across or cuts back to the middle.
100%. I think that's a large concern for us. I mean, Lucas's points about, I think Arteta got it wrong against Fulham. I think Arteta playing Partey at right back, he got it wrong. I think we also had Partey miss a wide open one-on-one unmarked header, amongst another miss or two that, it's really down to Gabby's mispositioning on the offsides. I think it was a little bit lazy. Good play by the right center back on Fulham. I don't know who exactly that was. He caught him offsides there at the last second. But yeah, we have to be executing on those chances and improve our margins in those situations, and we're not doing that right now.
I think question for you both, and truthfully, I mean no banter when I say this, but like, when you look at the set piece thing, obviously it's one of those things you want to be as good on set pieces as you possibly can. I think not that you're towing the line between borderline reliant, because I don't necessarily think you're reliant, but like when you look at the Fulham game, like open play XG was 0.29. I think the United game, like open play XG was like 0.5 something. Like, what is the issues coming with that in terms of open play? Because there are the banter, and yes, it is the easy jokes of like, yes, it's set pieces, but truthfully, it does look like when you see Martinelli or somebody's in the corner, it literally looks like they're playing for a corner. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I more so, what is the problem with creating chances in open play? Because that, it seems to me like even against us, there was no like direct chance on Onana or anything like that. It was more so in the set pieces. It's funny because the set pieces, I texted Griffiths, it's only annoying because it's the most frustrating way to lose.
Yep.
Like it literally is. You didn't get beat. It's like a PK or something like that. You get beat on a corner that you should stop. But like, I guess what is right now, what is the open play like problems coming from?
Can you guys hear
JP,
me?
you want to go?
Yeah,
Yeah, we got you now.
You want to go first this time?
I mean, I don't really have a direct answer to that
Tossing that
question.
one.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, bro.
I don't really have an exact answer to that question. I think the left wing profile is a topic of concern. Obviously, the striker position is a topic of concern. Odegaard and Saka is clearly the heart that stays beating for us in the attack. I'd say as far as the right side,
Lucas, rescue him.
Brother.
Rescue your boy.
I was seeing if it was going to fix itself.
what are you talking about?
JP can't be driving, brother.
Yeah. So I think for me, like going back to Martinelli, we've always drawn a lot of corners. Obviously, this past season and a half, we've been a lot more clinical than we have been in years prior. But if you look at Gabriel Martinelli's like body of work as a winger, so much of what he does is attack the goal line and put the ball across the 6-yard box. When you have a player whose speed and one of their best assets is, body feint and touching it towards the end line and trying to get a ball across, you're naturally going to get a lot of corners. Same with Saka on the right side. Like we see him when he does cut across and shoot, he scores a lot of those goals, but then there are other times he can't be doing that every single time. So we do see him cutting down towards the goal line as well and trying to make crosses. And a lot of those balls, are going out of bounds and are going our way. So it's tough because every professional sport's a game of inches, but if you think about it as, if he gets another foot away from the defender going towards the end line and the ball actually makes its way across the 6-yard box and we have a Kai Havertz or whoever else, Declan Rice, somebody else in there and it goes in, like there's an open play goal. But when we're scoring set pieces as consistently as we are, do we see that trend and be like, okay, wingers, instead of trying to put that ball across the 6-yard box as often as you guys do, like step on it or, fake throw it across, step on it, and then try and bring it back to your opposite foot and get it across in the air. It's a tough situation, and you can definitely make arguments about like the open play opportunities going through the middle of the field, right? Because you're a lot less likely to get a corner when you're building up through the middle of the field. But for us, so much of our game this season has been getting it wide to the wings and playing it from there.
Can you guys hear me okay?
So I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about like the open play situation. Is like it's a game of inches with us trying to throw the ball across the 6-yard box, whether that's in the air or on the ground, but then trying to play it through the middle. I'm sure that that's something they're working on, as other teams are probably at the same time working on ways to counter our set piece strategies. But
I still
looks
love
like that's the only thing you're
for the time
practicing.
being, we play the ball through the wings to build up. Not as much through the middle.
I still
You guys
love
hear me okay?
Tom Garrett's idea of defending an Arsenal set piece is just go throw like 4 of like your players on the halfway line and just like force Arsenal. Like leave it to be a 4-on-1. Arsenal's not going to not put 5 guys back. So it's like when you're defending a set piece, be like, okay, like.
Bro,
I'm waiting for somebody to do something, crazy like that.
Saliba celebrating like he just scored a bicycle kick when the ball hit off his ass and he had no idea where it was. Made me so mad, dude.
It is so frustrating.
He hasn't scored in a minute. I'm gonna let him have it.
You saw the celebration, dude. I think he's up for the fucking Puskas Award. Like
right off the ass, didn't even see it coming. Arsenal's going to have to ride the storm just like everyone else if they want to stay. If they want to stay within a shot of the title,
6 points though. 6 points.
Yeah, it's doable. Yeah. It's doable.
No longer Alphabet FC.
But what I want to remind you is Liverpool now. Before we talk about Liverpool have this almighty game at hand that they're still 6 points clear with the game at hand that. We've seen this as it moves into the latter half of the season. That game at hand can be vitally important through the title race. So this is also not banter, but getting that 3rd and 4th position is also going to be a hellstorm through the rest of the season. You have to think that City's going to bounce back some way. And then you have Chelsea in there, you have Arsenal in there, you have teams pushing up the table, like getting those 3rd and 4th positions, 2nd positions. It's going to be a fight. If Liverpool continue as they are, they might get some distance between them at that Christmas break, but we'll see. So, Butchie Man, let's throw it over to you with Liverpool. You all only had the one game this week with whatever kind of storm came through Merseyside over the weekend that was substantial enough to cancel a Merseyside derby. Don't know, but you had a 3-3 firecracker of a game against Newcastle, and this game was absolute madness from start to finish. Fill us in, brother. How'd you feel watching this game? What are your thoughts?
To be completely honest with you boys, there was multiple moments, lasting minutes, where I thought we were going to lose this game after I said Arnie conquered Europe, which meant I was going to get a shit storm from all of you, especially those.
Which is already started, man.
I was going to say, which you still are.
Genuinely, I thought we were going to lose multiple times watching this. Newcastle were really good, and they came out hot. Isak's goal was a banger.
He's so good, dude.
He's so good, man. He's unbelievable.
He's going to look good in red, baby.
You think he's going to Arsenal?
You're going to Bayern?
He's coming to the Emirates.
No shot.
He wants to win trophies.
Anyway,
he will.
He obviously
he's so good at Arsenal too. Fuck.
He would.
In 20 years.
He's so good at Arsenal.
And I know that we all hate this guy on a level of evenness, but Bruno Guimaraes was balling in that game. He had two nice assists. He just played really well. So I thought we were going to lose. And once again, against the run of play, we're at St. James's Park, very tough place to play in England. Mo Salah, again, best player in the league. Best player in the league by a mile, in my opinion, this year. Okay, Cole Palmer, Cole Palmer's he's a dude, but
it's Mo right now for sure.
When you think about I think earlier in this episode somebody talked about how like the elite teams have to just find ways to win. I think we were talking about like when somebody brought up Amorim and he needs time to implement that style into like that mindset into his players. When you think about that into a team, like when you think about a player stepping up for your club when you desperately need him, you're on this stretch of wins. You know, Arnie's lost one game since he took over. Things have been going well, but your back's against the wall away from home. Your best player steps up, scores 2 huge goals. Not to mention both goals he scored, we were trailing, right? So we were down 2-1. Mo scores. Then he scores to go up 3-2. And in the blink of 10 minutes, the game's flipped. So, like, when you think about significant impact, like, once again, he stepped up when we desperately needed somebody in a game that we probably could have lost and maybe should have lost. That shows me the mentality is very, very good right now inside the locker room amongst
3 years
the players
good?
And the manager. Huh?
3 years good?
What do you mean, bro?
Like good enough mentality to sign him for 3 more years?
I told you on the last episode, I do a 2-year deal.
I heard the 2-year deal was officially offered.
I'd do a 2-year deal, bro. 3's a little bit of a stretch. He'd be 35. I do 2. Yes, you offer him 100%. You offer him. Look what he's doing right now. 100%. You offer him whatever money he wants to stay for 2 more years, and you ride that out. He's gonna give you 2 good years, bro. Athletically, he looks like he's 24. Come on, bro.
No, he does not,
Not even close,
dude.
but keep
Bro,
going.
what are you talking about, Larry
Brother,
McGinnis?
Salah
He's an aged Iron Robin.
this is what Griffin I always say to you. Salah is the best moments player in the world right now. When it comes to you need a goal, he did it. But for the other 86 minutes of the game, he like fades in and out. And that's that. It's not a knock on him because certain players have it. Ronaldo was that way where he wasn't in the game. But that's
I
just
agree with you
Salah
on
now,
this.
dude. Salah has the moments. He fades too much in and out of games when
You're
it
right.
comes to certain stuff to where I never thought he was athletic or gifted. I thought he was just gifted as a footballer.
Yeah. I think that's why when Flan said in the group chat of like he's taking over, like I don't think he's ever like taking like yes, Dobes I said it perfectly, scoring big goals in big moments, but like he's not the one who's getting the ball every single time and starting their attack or anything like that. But like he is scoring at the right time, and that's something that not everyone has, and it's showing.
No, but to back that, Nick, I don't think he has to get the ball and start because
right.
of how well oiled the machine is that Arnie's
You're
creating.
right. I think that's been his career.
Back to front. I'm just saying, back to front, Arnie's created a well-oiled machine. At Salah's age, he doesn't have to drop deep, get the ball like
Or
a
ever,
Messi,
any
and create
age.
everything, bro. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
can just still score 40 goals. You know, I'll take those 40 goals.
Do want to remind you, Butch, that Ole at this time of year was also top of the table, and we know how that finished.
Listen, bro, the fact that you said that you just fucked me. You just fucked me.
Brother, you
absolutely
fucked yourself by saying you already conquered Europe, bro.
Your team is that like in
That
on
fragile.
the edge that his fucking comments gonna cause you
To be honest, all of our teams are that fragile in this
I don't
league.
think so.
Dude, to be honest, man, like my only worry
You are deeper
right now,
than us.
Yeah,
I'll give you that one.
And younger, and with a coach that we back.
Dude, I'll be honest.
I said the same about Ole.
Yeah.
Again.
Bro,
Not with the talent that we had.
I was
Sorry,
singing
Butch, go
Ole
ahead.
at the
Butch,
wheel.
go ahead.
I was singing.
We
I was
keep
waking up
talking
in the
over him.
morning. I was waking up in the morning. Ole's at the wheel. Tell me how good.
Hey, my biggest concern, and I'm not afraid to admit it. You guys are my best friends. I'm not afraid to admit it. My biggest concern right now is you guys know how hard it is over the winter Christmas break when you're playing all these games. My worry is like if we do slip up once or twice, obviously with Chelsea playing the way they're playing, Arsenal's 6 points back, even with the game in hand, I'm just concerned about a slip up or two with maybe I'm talking like even drawing a game that we shouldn't draw because that's 2 points you lose, right?
Yeah.
If you draw 2 games, you lose 4 points there, right? So I'm not talking about losses. I'm talking about just draws.
Yeah.
I also think an injury to your back line would be drastic for you guys.
It's kind of an injury anywhere on the field. It's it's not just.
I said it to Butch on Xbox. They're a Mo Salah injury away from being Crystal Palace, dude. Like
that was diabolical. That was diabolical. No, I'm more worried about losing Virgil.
That was who I didn't want to say his name, but like
the way Virgil's been playing, like he looks unbelievable right now. The whole season he's been unbelievable.
I think he's the reason you're going so well.
So we got to keep him healthy, and Arnie's going to be tested over winter break. He will be tested at how good is his rotation, because when you're playing a game every 2 days over Christmas and New Year's, you got to rotate. And
cancel them all, dude.
How good does he get the formulas right? You know, what'd you say?
Just cancel them all.
Just cancel them all, dude.
Bro,
Get an injury, just cancel it.
Get that
midfielder can play.
You remember, what was it, a couple of years ago that Klopp was petitioning for canceling games so they could get more rest? Do you remember that shit?
I do.
Now Arnie just fucking
because the grass was bad or something. Wasn't that something?
Hey, I want to bring up one guy that we have not seen that I used to love, and we have not seen him, and because he's been hurt. But I want to see what Federico Chiesa can bring to this team.
What's the deal with him?
Because
didn't he just play with your 21s?
So he just came back from injury, played with the U23s over the weekend because they're trying to get his fitness up. I think he scored a double. He had 2 goals. But when we think back to pre-ACL Chiesa in the Euro,
Electric, man.
dude, he was insane. So I'm thinking to myself, if we get anywhere close to that kind of player, like he's fully healthy, he's rehabbed
Who
from
does
that
he
knee.
play over though?
No, but I'm just talking about rotation.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking
I
about
was gonna say, I think
somebody that-
Diaz is better than him right now.
Well, right.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you bring in a rotation player that
Yeah.
can produce just as much as your starter. That's dangerous.
But here's my take, right? If we can get a Chiesa at his best, Arnie has the capability to do something that Pep does, which is, if you notice, Pep, you guys know, he will rest De Bruyne and Foden because he has all these guys that can come in and play really well. If Chiesa can make Mo Salah rest his legs when we need him to rest and play well, we're going to be an even deadlier team, in my opinion, because you have a fresh Mo Salah who's not going to have risk of getting injury or long-term, fitness issues. Dude, that's the key. That's the key. You got to keep him and Virgil healthy. If we keep those two healthy, I think the sky's the limit. But we'll see what Chiesa can bring. I'm excited to see his impact when he's back.
Man, can you imagine if you guys lose Ryan Gravenberch to an injury too? Like, that would be a huge loss as well. He's the one who's making everything tick.
It would be a huge loss, but hey, I'm gonna tell you, my boy Big Fro Cujo, he's him, bro. Big Fro Cujo.
Don't forget about Spaghetti Head too. Spaghetti Head is still chilling on the bench.
Curtis Jones, another goal scored against Newcastle. Dobes hates Curtis Jones.
I'll just never forget Manu scoring that goal and then Curtis Jones.
So funny. Well, gentlemen, that'll wrap it up for us here on the Mecca of Banter podcast. Appreciate you sticking with us through the technical difficulties tonight. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode dissecting some of the St. Louis City and MLS moves across the league. As always, follow us on the social medias. We'll get some merch out to everyone as soon as possible. And with that being said, cheers, fellas.
Cheers, boys. Thank you, JP.